All right, let's jump into another deep dive. You ready?
Always.
So today, we're going to be looking at this company, Claritas Digital.
Okay.
They're all about, helping marketers like you reach the right people online. And
Yeah.
so we're diving into their marketing materials, basically, seeing, how they present their own value,
Right.
their sales pitch, essentially,
Yeah.
and figuring out what it all means for you as a marketer. I mean, imagine knowing exactly who wants your product and then knowing exactly how to reach them online. That's the dream, right?
Absolutely.
Well, Claritas says they can make that dream a reality.
Well, that is a bold claim.
It is a bold claim.
But I mean, what I find fascinating here is how they're approaching it. It's not just about
Yeah.
Here's a bunch of raw data. Good luck.
Right.
They're really emphasizing a complete solution.
Mm-hmm.
It's taking that data and turning it into marketing success. It's
Yeah.
like having a toolbox full of tools is one thing.
Right.
But knowing how to use those tools, that's the real skill.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
one of the things they're really pushing here is this idea of moving beyond basic demographics.
Mhm.
Like, remember, I don't know, 10 years ago or whatever, when online ads were all, hey, you're a 25 to 34-year-old female, you must love this brand of yogurt.
Right.
Claritas is saying, those days are over. We're all about behavioral data now, understanding what people are actually doing online, not just who they are on paper.
Yeah, like their actual interests and behaviors.
Exactly. And they're saying this approach
Right.
of using behavioral data has worked offline for decades. So why not online too?
It makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
And to prove it, they say they have over 2,500 pre-built audiences already set up.
Yeah.
Based on this behavioral data.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of finely tuned groups of potential customers.
Right, it is. And that actually brings us to what they call their identity graph. Essentially what they're doing is connecting all the dots about a person online.
Okay.
So think about it. You're browsing websites, clicking on ads, maybe leaving reviews. All of that leaves a trail, a digital trail. And they're saying they can take all of that data and create a very detailed profile.
So all those little digital breadcrumbs, they're using this to build a picture of who we are.
Exactly.
But what kind of information are we actually talking about here? They throw out this big number, 20,000 demographic and behavioral attributes for every consumer and household in the U.S. I mean, what does that even mean in real life?
Well, it's everything from basic demographics, like age location. It gets much deeper than that. Things like income, shopping habits, what kind of car you drive, even your interests and hobbies.
So it's not just are you married? Did you have kids?
Right.
It's much more nuanced than that.
Exactly. And they even mentioned they have these 4 key segmentation models they use. PRIA-ZM Premier, PICLE Premier, connections, and a culture code.
Wow.
All these different ways of slicing and dicing all that data. And the goal is to help marketers pinpoint their ideal customers with incredible accuracy.
So it sounds like it's not just about having a ton of data, it's about making sense of it. And they're saying they've figured out the secret sauce to turn that data into actionable insights.
Right. And to be fair to them, understanding consumer behavior is absolutely crucial.
Absolutely.
And they're clearly emphasizing their expertise in this area, particularly when it comes to U.S. multicultural consumers.
Okay, so they're saying we're not just making assumptions based on zip codes or something. We actually know who your customers are, down to the individual household.
Right.
That's a pretty big claim.
It is.
Now, I know what some people might be thinking right now. Hold on. This sounds a little creepy.
Yeah, the privacy concern.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How are they getting all this data? And is it even ethical?
Right.
So to their credit, Claritas does address this directly in their materials. They claim they only use privacy-compliant methods. They even mention integrating with Trade Desk's Universal ID, UID 2.0, which is all about encrypting data and keeping things secure.
Okay, so that's good to hear. Because in a world where, data privacy is so important, any company that's dealing with this level of personal information needs to be transparent and accountable.
Absolutely. So they're trying to be both insightful and responsible with data.
Okay.
But let's dig into how this all translates into real benefits for marketers. That's what we'll explore next.
Sounds good.
All right.
This is where things get interesting, I think, for marketers. They're laying out this case for how they can help you achieve some pretty impressive results.
Yeah, they're talking about driving market share, identifying the best prospects, really understanding that customer journey, and it all comes back to this deep data they're claiming to have.
Right. And it's like they're saying, stop guessing and start knowing.
Totally. And they're not just like throwing out these vague concepts either.
Mm.
They're getting talking about creating personalized campaign messages that actually resonate with people,
Mm-hmm.
reducing that wasted ad spend that we all hate,
Yeah.
and even finding like the best path to purchase for each individual customer.
Right. Like tailoring the entire journey.
I mean, who wouldn't want that? But how does this actually work in practice?
Well, let's say you're a marketer for a company that sells, I don't know, high-end organic tea.
Okay, fancy tea.
Right? So you could use their platform to identify people who not only like tea, but also fit a very specific profile.
Yeah.
Maybe they're health conscious, they have a certain income level, and they buy a lot of things online.
Got it.
Then instead of showing generic ads to everyone, you could target these specific people with messages that are tailored to their interests.
Okay, so instead of saying like, hey, try our tea, it's more like, hey, health-conscious tea lover, check out our new blend of organic, sustainably sourced tea that's perfect for your afternoon relaxation ritual.
Exactly. You're speaking their language.
I like it.
And that's just one example.
Okay.
They also talk about using this data to make smarter decisions about things like distribution,
Okay.
which channels to use, even merchandising.
So it's not just advertising. It's like optimizing every part of your strategy.
Exactly. They're saying, we can help you optimize your entire marketing approach.
Wow, now they keep mentioning this idea of segmentation versus proxy. Can you break that down for us? What's the difference and why does it matter?
Sure. So imagine you're trying to find everyone in a city who loves vintage video games.
Okay.
A proxy approach might be to target people who live near retro gaming stores or visit websites about classic consoles.
All right, so you're making assumptions based on like their location or their browsing history.
Exactly. It's an indirect way of finding potential customers based on broad generalizations.
It's like saying if you live near a comic book store, you must be a nerd.
Right. Which might be true for some people, but not everyone.
Definitely not everyone.
And that's where Claritas says they're different. They're arguing that their segmentation methodology is way more precise.
Okay.
They're not making assumptions about neighborhoods or, broad interests. They're looking at the actual behaviors of individuals and households.
So they're saying, we know this person actually bought a vintage game console online last month, so they're definitely in our target market. It's exactly. They're using all that data they've collected to create these hyper-specific segments.
Okay, that makes sense. But I guess part of me still wonders, how is this really different from what other data companies are doing? Aren't they all kind of trying to do the same thing, just with different levels of data and methods?
That's a great question, and it's something we'll have to explore further. But what's clear is that Claritas is positioning themselves as the leader in this space. They're claiming that their depth of data, combined with their sophisticated segmentation models, gives them a real edge over the competition.
They're not just saying they have data, they're saying they know how to use it better than anyone else.
Exactly, and that's a bold claim, but, marketing is full of bold claims.
It is. The question is, can they back it up?
Right, and that's what we'll be looking at as we continue our deep dive.
So we've seen how Claritas is selling themselves, but does this stuff actually work?
Well, based on the materials, they seem pretty confident about it. They keep talking about how this can lead to real results for marketers.
Talking about increased ROI, cutting down on wasted ad spend, better campaign performance overall.
They're making some big promises.
Yeah, they're basically saying, look, if you want to make better marketing decisions, we have the data you need.
And they specifically call out their expertise with U.S. multicultural consumers, right?
Right. They seem to be suggesting that they have a deeper understanding of those markets than a lot of their competitors.
Interesting.
Yeah, the focus on specific markets, I think, is worth noting. It suggests they're not just trying to be everything to everyone.
Yeah.
They're recognizing that different audiences need different approaches.
It makes you think about all the different ways this data could be used, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Like, could a company use this to figure out the best time of day to run an ad or even, predict which products are going to be hot next season?
I mean, it's certainly possible, and that's where things get really interesting and potentially even a little bit unnerving. The more data we collect and the more sophisticated our analysis becomes, the closer we get to being able to, anticipate and even influence consumer behavior.
It's like we're developing a crystal ball for marketing.
Kind of, yeah. It's like knowing what people are going to want before they even know it themselves.
Okay, now that is a little creepy.
Yeah, it's a little bit Big Brother-ish.
but also fascinating.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
mean, it makes you wonder about the future of marketing, right? Is it going to become less about creativity and more about just crunching numbers?
That's a great question, and I think the answer is probably somewhere in the middle, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Data can give us incredible insights, no doubt,
Right.
but I still think it's up to us, the humans, to actually interpret those insights and use them in a creative and effective way.
So it's not about replacing humans with robots. It's about giving marketers better tools and information.
Exactly. It's like having a super powerful engine in a car. You still need a driver who knows how to handle it.
To get you where you need to go.
Exactly. And I think that's a really important takeaway from our deep dive today. Claritas is giving us a glimpse into this future of data-driven marketing. But at the end of the day, the success of any campaign depends on those human factors, creativity, strategy, and a deep understanding of your target audience.
So we can't just blindly rely on the numbers.
No, we need to use them thoughtfully and ethically.
Well said. And I think as we wrap up this deep dive, it's important to remember that marketing is all about connecting with people, right?
It is.
And data can help us understand those people better, but it's up to us to use that knowledge responsibly.
Couldn't agree more. We've got to remember that behind all these data points are real people with real needs and desires.
Exactly. Let's not forget that as we navigate this increasingly data-driven world.
Well said.
So keep asking those tough questions, stay curious, and never stop learning.
That's the key.
All right, that's it for our deep dive into Claritas Digital. Thanks for joining us.
It's been a pleasure.